All right, welcome to another deep dive. Today we are taking a close look at Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King.
Yeah, this one was requested by you, the listener, really hoping to get a better grasp on how to improve well-being and really make some headway on those goals.
That's right, this is a deep dive curated just for you as we explore this book's main ideas. At its heart, Good Vibes, Good Life is all about the connection between your mindset and your reality.
And it really emphasizes that a strong base of self-love is kind of like the foundation for everything else to build on top of.
Yeah, it goes into how to really get a handle on your emotions so you can, really manage your energy more effectively.
Definitely. And it's not just like thinking happy thoughts all the time. It really digs into taking real, consistent action to actually, move towards those goals.
Exactly, while also keeping those feelings of faith and gratitude front and center.
It's kind of like wishing for a better life is just that first little spark. But, this book is more like a whole roadmap for actually building that life you want.
That's a great way to put it. So what we're going to do is go through this book chapter by chapter, really pull out those key lessons, and like always, try to ground those ideas with real life examples so they really resonate.
Sounds good.
Let's kick things off right at the beginning with the introduction and dedications. There's already some pretty powerful messages right from the get-go.
Yeah, like right off the bat, he dedicates this book to his mother, father, and, anyone out there with a dream.
And in those dedications, there are some pretty big themes that start to emerge.
For sure. And what really stands out in the dedication to his mom is how much he highlights her resilience. He talks about her life being full of hardships, but, she faced them all with incredible strength, unwavering faith, and just pure perseverance. It's like right away, this theme of overcoming challenges is put right at the forefront.
Yeah, definitely. And even though his relationship with his father wasn't very long, the dedication to him still speaks volumes about that lasting impact a parent's love and guidance can have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even when they're not physically present.
Right. It reminds us of that, deep well of inner strength that we can tap into even if we're not always aware of it.
And then ending with that dedication to anyone with a dream, whether it's just getting through a tough day or actually achieving some huge ambition, it really reinforces that, positive change is possible for anyone.
It's about recognizing that potential within everyone, no matter what their current situation looks like. So even before we jump into chapter 1, the big takeaway is that love and perseverance are the superpowers for getting through those tough times. Everyone has that ability to make positive change no matter where they're starting from.
Yeah, it's like acknowledging that inner spark.
Yeah.
That belief in a better future that's, clearly really important to the author.
Absolutely. And that sets the stage for part 1, which really dives into this foundational concept of self-love. Now, when we hear that term, self-love, it can sometimes feel a bit superficial, like just pampering yourself or, repeating affirmations. But the book very quickly sets the record straight that it's something much deeper.
It's way more multifaceted than that.
Yeah.
It presents self-love as a balance.
Okay, so self-love isn't just about accepting yourself. It's also about recognizing that you're worthy of growth and positive change.
Exactly. It's not passive. It's an active process of wanting to grow and improve.
And that's a continuous journey, not just a destination.
Right. And the chapter title, What is Self-Love?, really breaks these two elements down. The first, like you said, is that unconditional self-acceptance. That's the mindset part, truly valuing who you are in this moment with all your, quote, flaws and imperfections.
Yeah, and that means understanding that your worth isn't tied to things like, what you do for a living or how you look.
It's about believing in your value. Just because you exist, no matter what your situation is right now or, what's happened in the past.
Right. And then the second part, the action-oriented part, is that drive for self-improvement. That's where you acknowledge that. Because you are worthy. You deserve more. You deserve to reach your full potential.
And you actually take, at first, you might be patient and understanding. That's the self-acceptance part kicking in. But if they keep doing it, and it starts affecting the whole project.
Your self-love kicks in.
Yeah, and you realize that you need everyone to contribute fairly for the project to succeed. So you might have to address the issue directly or even tell the professor if it keeps happening.
And the book makes a really important point here. It says that you shouldn't feel guilty for taking action in a situation like that, where someone's not pulling their weight and it's impacting you negatively. It's about finding that balance between being understanding and also setting healthy boundaries.
Yeah, like that quote, it's important to recognize that it's not unjust to let go of those who show no concern for you.
It all comes back to that core idea of self-love, protecting your own well-being and not letting people walk all over you.
Yeah, and when you really love and value yourself in that holistic way, your life will start to reflect that back to you.
So the big takeaway from this first part is that self-love isn't about being selfish or complacent. It's about finding that balance between accepting yourself exactly as you are right now and actively working towards becoming the best version of yourself.
Exactly. It's the foundation.
So with that foundation set, we move into part 2, which introduces this really interesting concept of the law of vibration.
Right.
And
And I know for
you'll-
some people that might sound a little out there, but the author actually grounds it in his own experience with something probably a lot of people have heard of, the law of attraction.
Yeah, he talks about how he first got into the ideas and the secret and that whole, what you think about, you bring about concept. And he shares this really cool story about wanting to go on vacation with his friends, but he was like 500 pounds short.
He was really focused on wanting to go on this trip.
Yeah, and he actively tried to stay positive about it. And then, out of nowhere, he gets a tax rebate for 800 pounds. Yeah, it's a pretty convincing story, and it totally made him a believer in the law of attraction. So he went on the trip and had an amazing time. But he's also really honest about the fact that just relying on the law of attraction the way it's often presented can have some limitations.
And that limitation being,
Well, it's tough to stay positive all the time, isn't it? Life throws curveballs, unexpected things happen, and it's just not realistic to expect ourselves to be happy and optimistic 24/7. He even admits that when he went through some really tough times, he wasn't positive at all. He felt anger, frustration, and all those difficult emotions.
and that's where this idea of the law of vibration comes in.
Exactly. It's a deeper principle that explains why our attempts at manifesting sometimes work and sometimes don't. It's not just about the specific thoughts, it's about our overall energy, our dominant vibration.
Makes sense. And the chapter, The Law of Vibration, really goes into detail about this. It explains that everything in the universe, everything, is made up of energy and is constantly vibrating at different frequencies.
That's kind of like what we learn in science about atoms always being in motion, right?
Yeah, like even the states of matter, solid, liquid, gas, they all depend on how fast those molecules are vibrating.
So if everything is vibrating, are we only picking up on vibrations that match our own?
That's exactly what the book suggests. We only perceive and experience things that resonate with our own frequency. Like, you know how a dog whistle makes a sound we can't hear? It's because those sound waves are vibrating at a frequency that our ears aren't designed to pick up.
Oh, okay, I see. So to experience something different, to attract something different, we need to shift our own internal frequency.
And how do we figure out what frequency we're on?
Well, the book says that the most direct way is to pay attention to our emotions.
Our emotions.
They're basically a reflection of our underlying energy. When we're feeling joy, gratitude, love, peace, that means we're vibrating at a higher frequency.
Okay, and when we're feeling down, angry, or fearful?
That's a lower vibration. So it's not just about good vibes being a cool saying. It's about recognizing that those good vibes represent a real energy that can attract positive things into our lives.
And to illustrate this whole concept of vibration, the book brings in these fascinating experiments done by a guy named Dr. Hans Jenny.
These were called cymatics experiments.
Yeah, and they visually showed how sound waves and vibrations could actually change physical matter. Like when you expose sand or water to certain frequencies, it creates these super intricate patterns. It's like a visual representation of how different vibrations can shape reality.
That's so cool. So what we can take away from all this is that to attract more positive experiences, we need to focus on cultivating positive emotions and raising our overall vibration. It's like tuning into a different channel, a more positive one.
And the book gives some very practical ways to do that.
Like that.
It starts with something that might seem really basic, but it's actually quite powerful, changing your body language.
Body language. How does that play into this?
Well, it might sound a little vague at first, but there's actually research that shows that even forcing a smile can trick your brain into releasing endorphins.
Really? So even if you're not genuinely happy, just smiling can make you feel a little bit better.
Exactly. It's like your body is sending signals back to your brain saying, hey, we must be happy because we're smiling.
Interesting. So standing up straighter, making eye contact, even smiling, all those things can actually shift our internal state and make us feel more positive.
Exactly. It's like priming yourself for good vibes.
I like that. Another tip that really stood out to me was the importance of taking some time out And I mean, that feels so crucial in today's world where we're constantly plugged in and bombarded with information.
Yeah, it's so easy to get overwhelmed and drained by it all. And the simple solution is to just take a break.
Unplug, recharge.
Exactly. The book even talks about that feeling of being totally peopled out. There's this great word for it in Mexican Spanish, engentado, which captures that feeling of needing to be away from people after spending too much time with them.
Right. And that doesn't make you antisocial or anything. It just means you need to recharge your batteries, you know?
Totally. And it's not just people. The book also talks about taking breaks from all kinds of media, especially social media. Just disconnecting from all that noise for a while.
Yeah, there's something about being in nature that can be really calming and restorative.
Definitely. There's even a study back in 1991 that showed that being in nature can actually improve your mood and well-being.
It makes you wonder if we're spending enough time outdoors.
Yeah, maybe we all need to prioritize a little more nature time.
All right, next up, the book talks about the power of finding inspiration. You know, when you're feeling down or stuck in a rut, actively seeking out things that inspire you can be a huge energy boost.
Totally. It's like recharging your battery. And the book mentions all kinds of sources like books, podcasts, movies, even personal stories.
And what I found really fascinating is that it also talks about the vibrational energy of food.
The energy of food.
Yeah, there's this research by a guy named Andre Simonton that suggests that different foods actually vibrate at different frequencies.
Seriously?
Yeah, fresh foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, they vibrate at a higher frequency than, say, processed foods, cooked meats, and refined sugar.
So it's not just about what the food does for our bodies. It's about the energy it brings in.
It makes you think about food in a whole new way, doesn't it?
It does. It's kind of like, are we fueling ourselves with high vibes or low vibes?
That's a great point. Now, another practice that the book really emphasizes is expressing gratitude.
Gratitude. It's such a simple thing, but it can make such a huge difference.
It really can. It's like a muscle we need to exercise because it's so easy to focus on what we don't have or what's going wrong, right?
Right. But when we actively choose to focus on what we're grateful for, it shifts our whole perspective.
Exactly. And the book has this great quote, "Greatness starts with being grateful." It reminds us that being grateful isn't just a feel-good thing. It's the foundation for so much more.
It also helps us appreciate what we already have by reminding us that there are people out there who might be longing for the very things we take for granted.
It's about putting things in perspective.
Absolutely. And there's this really powerful technique for cultivating gratitude that the book shares. It's about imagining your life without something you're grateful for.
Like really picturing what it would be like if that thing was gone.
Yeah, like the book gives an example of a guy named Will who was grateful for his car, but he didn't fully realize how much until he imagined what his life would be like without it. All the things he wouldn't be able to do.
Wow, that would make you appreciate your car a whole lot more, wouldn't it?
For sure. And the author also shares a personal story about choosing to be grateful for his job, even though he had a really difficult manager. And by focusing on the good things, like his salary and the opportunities he had, his situation actually started to improve. His manager got promoted, and he even got a raise.
So it's like by shifting your focus to gratitude, you're actually changing your reality.
Pretty cool, right?
It is. So the key lesson here is that practicing gratitude, even for the small things, can shift your whole energy from a place of lack to a place of abundance. And that can attract more positive experiences into your life.
Totally. It's about focusing on what you have, not on what you don't have.
Now, after gratitude, the book gets into the topic of studying your emotions. And it makes a really important point that ignoring or suppressing those negative emotions isn't a good long-term strategy.
It's like trying to hold something toxic inside.
Exactly. And we can't just slap a positive thought on top of those feelings and pretend they're not there.
Right. We need to understand them, work through them, and transform them into something healthier.
And how do we do that?
Well, the book lays out a 3-step process. It starts with noticing, paying attention to what you're feeling physically, those sensations in your body, and the thoughts that come with those emotions.
So it's about becoming aware of those internal signals.
Yeah. Then the next step is understanding, really digging into the root cause of those emotions. Like, there's an example of a woman named Sarah who was feeling insecure because a guy she was interested in wasn't texting her back consistently.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. And when she really looked at why she was feeling that way, she realized it was tied to a deeper need for social acceptance and validation.
Interesting. So it's about going beyond the surface emotion and figuring out what's really driving it.
Exactly. And once you understand that, you can move on to the third step, transformation. This is where you choose a healthier way to respond or a different thought pattern to replace the one that's causing the negativity.
So it's not about pretending the negative emotions aren't there. It's about getting curious about them and then consciously choosing a different way to react.
Right. And by doing that, we're essentially transforming that negative vibration into something more positive.
The big takeaway here is that understanding our own emotions is so important for our well-being. It's like becoming fluent in the language of our inner world.
I like that. Emotional fluency.
Now, next up is a concept that I think a lot of us struggle with, being present.
Being present. Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the past. Replaying old events and dwelling on regrets or worrying about the future, all those what-ifs.
And all that does is create anxiety and stress, right? Because in reality, the future will only ever arrive as the present moment.
Right, we're always living in the now, but we often forget to actually be present in the now.
The book suggests a really powerful tool for cultivating presence: meditation. It even walks you through a simple relaxation meditation that focuses on your senses and your breath.
That's cool. I've heard a lot about the benefits of meditation.
It basically encourages you to just be aware of what you're experiencing in the present moment without judgment, noticing the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, your breath going in and out.
It's like hitting the pause button on all that mental chatter.
Exactly. And that can really help reduce anxiety and allow you to fully experience life as it's happening. Plus, it's a great way to raise your vibration by focusing on the good things in the present moment.
I like that. A 2-for-1 deal.
All right, moving on. The book dives into a concept that can be a bit controversial: putting yourself first.
Putting yourself first. Yeah, that can sometimes be seen as selfish.
Right. But the book offers a really important perspective shift. It's saying that, yes, being completely self-centered all the time is definitely not cool, but taking care of yourself is absolutely essential for your well-being.
It's like you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Yeah.
You can't give to others if you're running on fumes yourself.
Exactly. And the book reminds us that our relationship with ourselves is the most important one we'll ever have.
True. If we're not good to ourselves, how can we be good to anyone else?
So the takeaway here is that prioritizing yourself and your needs isn't selfish. It's an act of self-love. And when you take care of yourself, you actually have more positive energy to share with others.
It's about creating a win-win situation for everyone.
Now, the next chapter has a really interesting title: Let Your Good Vibes Protect You. It suggests that being positive can actually be like a shield against negativity.
Like a force field of good energy.
Yeah, something like that. There's even this funny quote: "Some negative people are allergic to positivity. Be so positive that they can't stand being near you."
I like that. So it's like your positive vibes are so strong that negativity just bounces right off you.
Exactly. Then the book gets into a pretty serious topic: dare to leave a toxic job.
Toxic jobs, yeah, they can be really tough to deal with.
And the book compares staying in a toxic job to knowingly walking into a dangerous situation. It acknowledges that fear and finances can keep people stuck in those jobs, but it really emphasizes the negative impact it can have on your health and happiness.
So the message is that if you're in a job that's truly toxic, getting out of there is essential for your well-being, even if it feels scary.
Absolutely. It might mean taking a leap of faith, but your health is worth it. Now, this all leads us into part 4, which is all about accepting yourself.
Okay, accepting yourself. Back to that self-love theme.
Exactly. And this section really drives home the point that you are worthy and you deserve to prioritize your own needs.
And it talks about how society often pushes us to prioritize pleasing others instead of loving ourselves.
Yeah, we're taught to put everyone else first, which can lead to a lot of inner conflict and dissatisfaction.
And the book makes this really strong connection between self-acceptance and healthy relationships. Like, it gives an example of a woman named Kira whose lack of self-love was actually damaging her romantic relationship.
Wow, so our self-acceptance really impacts all our relationships.
It's like you can't truly love someone else until you love yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. So the big takeaway here is that unconditional self-acceptance is the key to inner peace, happier relationships, and a more fulfilling life.
It's the foundation for everything.
The first chapter in this section is called Appreciate Your Physical Beauty. And it acknowledges how hard that can be in a world that's constantly bombarding us with images of, perfect bodies.
Yeah, we're constantly being told how we should look, what's considered beautiful, and it's so easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others and feeling like we don't measure up.
It's that constant pressure to achieve some unattainable ideal, and it can lead to a lot of negative self-talk and low self-esteem.
The book even questions where those beauty standards even come from and how many industries actually profit from our insecurities.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Who benefits from us feeling bad about ourselves? So the lesson here is to resist those external pressures and to start appreciating our own unique beauty.
To love the way we look, just as we are.
Exactly. The next chapter tackles the trap of comparing ourselves to others. It's titled, Compare Only with Yourself. And the book is pretty straightforward in saying that comparing yourself to others is a recipe for unhappiness.
It's like a never-ending race you can never win.
The author shares a personal story about feeling embarrassed by his home compared to other people's homes. And he also talks about a childhood memory where he felt judged for not wearing expensive clothes to a wedding.
Oh, that's tough. Those early experiences can really stick with us.
They can. And it highlights how even seemingly harmless comparisons, like those sometimes made by parents, can have a lasting impact on our self-esteem.
And then, of course, there's social media.
Oh yeah, social media. The book talks about how easy it is to fall into that trap of comparing our lives to those carefully curated highlight reels that people post online.
It's like comparing your bloopers to someone else's finished film.
Exactly. And it can make us feel inadequate, even though those online personas are often far from reality.
So the big takeaway is to stop comparing ourselves to others. It's a pointless exercise.
The only comparison that matters is the one with yourself.
How much have you grown? How far have you come? That's what matters.
Now, the next chapter encourages us to value your inner beauty. And it makes this interesting observation that, we compliment people all the time on their physical appearance, but we rarely compliment them on their inner qualities.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you look great. But how often do you hear, wow, you have such a kind heart?
Not often enough. And the book emphasizes that it's those inner qualities, things like love, kindness, empathy, integrity, that truly make a person beautiful.
Yeah, physical attraction might be what draws people together initially, but it's those inner qualities that make the connection last.
There's this great quote in the book, "Physical beauty does nothing but satisfy physical needs. Only those with real substance can satisfy the hearts, minds, and souls of others." So it's like prioritize developing your character, your inner world, because that's what truly matters.
This is what makes you shine.
Now, the next chapter is a simple but important reminder. Celebrate your achievements. It's about acknowledging your progress, even those small wins, because every step forward is worth celebrating.
It's so easy to just keep pushing towards the next goal and forget to appreciate how far we've come.
Right. We get so focused on what's next that we don't stop and celebrate what we've already accomplished. And recognizing those achievements can boost our confidence and motivate us to keep going.
It's like giving yourself a pat on the back for a job well done.
Exactly. And the book then talks about the importance of respecting your uniqueness. How societal norms and the pressure to fit in can sometimes stifle our individuality.
Yeah, it's like everyone's trying to be like everyone else.
And the book encourages us to question our actions and choices, ask ourselves if we're doing things because we genuinely want to or because we're trying to meet someone else's expectations.
It's about being true to ourselves.
Yeah.
Even if it means standing out from the crowd.
There's this great quote. You can listen to the crowd, or you can listen to your soul and be on your own stage. And the book reminds us that people will judge us either way, whether we conform or not. So why not be true to ourselves?
Exactly. Why not create our own stage, our own path? And it also talks about how easily we can be influenced by external messages, like those in advertising and marketing. It's like they're constantly trying to program us to think a certain way.
It's about becoming aware of those influences and consciously choosing what we allow into our minds.
Right. Taking back control of our own thoughts.
And finally, in this section on self-acceptance, the book stresses the importance of being kind and forgiving yourself.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's so easy to be hard on ourselves when we make mistakes.
We tend to hold ourselves to these incredibly high standards, and when we fall short, we beat ourselves up. But the book reminds us that making mistakes is part of being human.
It's how we learn and grow.
Exactly. And self-forgiveness is crucial for moving forward. It's about treating ourselves with the same compassion we would offer a friend.
Like, imagine if a friend came to you and said they made a mistake. You wouldn't berate them, would you? You'd be supportive and understanding.
Right. We need to extend that same kindness to ourselves. Okay, now we move into part 5, which shifts gears and focuses on manifesting goals, mind work. This section is all about harnessing the power of our minds to create the lives we want.
Sounds powerful.
It is, and it kicks off by revisiting the importance of positive thinking.
Back to the law of attraction.
Exactly. Focusing on what we want to create, not on what we want to avoid. Then the next chapter, Your Mentality is Your Reality, really drives home the point that our dominant thoughts and beliefs actually shape our experiences.
It's like what we believe becomes our truth.
The author shares some of his own experiences with internalizing limiting beliefs based on his upbringing. And he has this great quote, "Our beliefs are like a lens we use to view life. We see what we convince ourselves is true. So, if we believe we're not good enough, we'll find evidence to support that belief, even if it's not actually true."
Wow, that's so true. It's like we filter our experiences through our beliefs.
Exactly. So it's about actively cultivating positive and empowering beliefs because those beliefs will become our reality.
Makes sense. Now, what about the subconscious mind? I know that plays a big role in all this.
The book has a whole chapter on understanding the subconscious mind, and it explains that our subconscious is like this operating system that runs in the background based on all those ingrained thoughts, habits, and beliefs that we've picked up over time.
It's like the autopilot of our minds.
Exactly. And a lot of those subconscious programs are formed through repetition and emotionally charged events. So the first step to changing those limiting beliefs is to become aware of them.
To bring them to the surface.
Right. And then the book introduces this more advanced concept of going beyond thoughts. It's about learning to observe our thoughts without judgment, kind of like we're watching a movie.
So instead of getting caught up in the drama of our thoughts, we just observe them.
Yeah, and it explains that events themselves are often neutral. It's the meaning we assign to them, the labels we put on them, that determines our emotional response.
Like, if someone cuts you off in traffic, you can choose to get angry and upset, or you can choose to just brush it off.
Yeah.
It's the same event, but your reaction to it is what shapes your experience.
Exactly. So the lesson is that by becoming aware of our thoughts, we gain the power to choose how we respond to situations. We don't have to be ruled by our automatic reactions.
That's empowering.
It is.
Oh.
Now, there's this short but really powerful chapter called One Thought is All It Takes. And it emphasizes the incredible potential of a single positive thought.
Seriously. Just one thought.
Yeah, the book uses the analogy of chaos theory and the butterfly effect. How a tiny change in one place can have ripple effects across the globe. It's saying that one positive thought can create a chain reaction that leads to amazing things.
It's like planting a seed.
Exactly. So never underestimate the power of even one positive thought. It might just be the spark that changes everything.
So how do we change those deep-seated beliefs that might be holding us back?
The book has a chapter on that too, changing your beliefs. It points out that limiting beliefs can really hold us back from achieving our full potential. And a lot of those beliefs are things we've picked up from our environment, our upbringing, things we've been told or experienced.
It's like we inherit those beliefs without even realizing it.
Right. So the first step is to question those beliefs. Are they really true? Or are they just old stories we've been telling ourselves? Look for evidence to the contrary. Find examples of people who have overcome similar limitations and achieved great things, and then start replacing those limiting beliefs with more empowering ones.
So it's about actively rewriting our internal script.
And a great tool for that is repeating affirmations. The book talks about affirmations as positive statements that you repeat to yourself regularly to reprogram your subconscious mind.
Kind of like brainwashing yourself with positive messages.
Yeah, but in a good way. And it gives some guidelines for crafting effective affirmations. They should be in the present tense, like they're already true, positive, personal, specific, and infused with emotion.
Okay, so not just mindlessly repeating words, but really feeling them?
Exactly. And when you do,